This was precisely what Franz had heard the evening before in the ruins of the Colosseum. No part of the program differed. The names of the condemned persons, their crimes, and mode of punishment all agreed with his previous information. In all probability, therefore, the Transteverin was no other than the bandit Luigi Vampa himself, and the man shrouded in the mantle, the same he had known as Sinbad the Sailor, but who, no doubt, was still pursuing his philanthropic expedition in Rome, as he had already done at Porto Vecchio and Tunis. Time was getting on, however, and Franz deemed it advisable to awaken Albert. But at the moment he prepared to proceed to his chamber, his friend entered the room in perfect costume for the day. The anticipated delights of the Carnival had so run in his head as to make him leave his pillow long before his usual hour. "Now, my excellent Signor Pastrini," said Franz, addressing his landlord, "since we are both ready, do you think we may proceed at once to visit the Count of Monte Cristo?" "Most assuredly," replied he. "The Count of Monte Cristo is always an early riser, and I can answer for his having been up these 2 hours." "Then you really consider we shall not be intruding if we pay our respects to him directly?" "Oh, I am quite sure. I will take all the blame on myself if you find I have led you into an error." "Well then, if it be so, are you ready, Albert?" "Perfectly." "Let us go and return our best thanks for his courtesy." "Yes, let us do so." There are some movies, I may have said this on the show before, in screenwriting, in movie making, filmmaking, TV, there's an adage to get into the scene as late as possible and get out as soon as possible. You don't want to see characters walk in a door, say hello, hang up their hat, walk over to their desk, sit down, answer the phone, dial it, wait for the ring. You can cut out all the extraneous stuff because it gets to the heart of the matter faster, creates faster pacing. Sometimes you want it, sometimes you do want it, but if it's not adding anything to the exposition, it's not adding anything to the narrative, themes, symbolism, atmosphere, tone, then it's usually a good idea to cut it. I will say there are times like today, I wish we could just cut a little bit out of this story. And that brings me to something I haven't explored in the year and a quarter of this show yet, which is, what do the abridged versions of this story look like? I happen to have one, and to bring you into my history of making this show, there's this period early 2025, right before I started, where I was on the fence about whether or not I was going to do it. I had the idea, and initially, the show was going to be a video podcast. I decided against that, and I had this moment where I almost didn't do the show at all, and then I thought, you know what? You've been doing audio podcasting for so long, why not just make it an audio podcast? Which I did, and here we are. Sorry, that was a tangent to this tangent. Jesus Christ. The end of this chapter is driving me crazy. But the point being, when I had the idea, I pulled the copy of the Count of Monte Cristo I had on my shelf for years and years and years, collected dust, did not ever open it because I haven't read it before. One of those buys very long ago of having ambitions to read more classic literature and just never getting around to some of the thicker tomes. And when I pulled it off, I'm like, okay, I got the copy. Now I can read it on air. And when I opened the front cover, saw that it was abridged. I had it on my shelf for maybe 20 years or more. It has moved through 3 different states with me, and still remains on my shelf. But it was the abridged version, and so I was like, well, I'm not going to read that because it's not the full story. But now we're at a point where I'm like, I wonder what they do take out of the story to make this a bit more trimmed. There are some abridged things, particularly audiobooks, that abridge stories to the point where I can't comprehend what is happening in the story. Recently, I read Mary Renault's 2 books on Theseus for an upcoming announcement I have, maybe at the end of today's episode or tomorrow. But I had read The King Must Die first. And sometimes after I read a pretty dense novel, I will go and find an audiobook version of it and then listen to it after I've read it as a different way of processing the information, seeing if I missed anything, or knowing the themes, where it's going, all that stuff, so that when I process and absorb it a second time, I can maybe be more open to what's happening. And so I did that with The King Must Die, and it condensed a pretty thick, dense book down to like 2.5 hours. And it lost almost everything that made that book amazing. Coincidentally, it was read by Michael York, who stars as D'Artagnan in The Three Musketeers, by Richard Lester. So I'm curious, and I'm wondering if there's like an official abridged version, or if there are multiple abridged versions, just like there are translations. Do multiple people abridge it in different ways? I don't know. I don't have the answers to that, but that's something I'm going to look into because I'm very interested in that. Okay, anything that we need to discuss here today? I kind of got ahead of myself again yesterday talking about what Franz realizes about the information Dante has or gave at the Colosseum, and now him and Albert are both prepared to go meet the Count of Monte Cristo. Answers will be had. Maybe more questions will come up. Most certainly they will. But join me here tomorrow with one more episode of Chapter 34. Holy cow. And I almost ended the episode just now. Did you notice? It's been so long since I've talked about the Patreon. I got to talk about the Patreon. Patreon.com/gruntworkpod is where you can go to contribute to the show. You can sign up for free if you want to, get some information about the show, updates that are going on. And excited to announce that from May 1st to May 30th, we are going to have a supporter month. And what that means is if you sign up for free, you get access to everything we've ever done on the network for free for the month, for supporter month. And in addition to that, we're going to be doing a bunch of additional bonus content throughout the month for every single one of our shows. So if you only support Countdown of Monte Cristo, you can get access to all of the story-only audio that is available up to May 1st. Get access to our short stories, Edgar Allan Poe, Algernon Blackwood, and, as I said before, I'm going to be doing a reading from the Tales of 1001 Nights for Supporter Month. So you can get that for free, and you can sign up for free right now over at patreon.com/gruntworkpod to be prepared when Supporter Month comes. Of course, if you want to contribute, we deeply appreciate that. I think I've mentioned this before. We have a goal here to just make the network self-sustaining. We are about halfway to that goal, and your contributions go directly toward keeping these shows on the air as they're happening after they've been completed, growing the network to include new shows, new opportunities, new bonus content. And you could do that for as little as $1 per month. That's 3 cents per episode, unless you choose to support everything on the network, and then you're getting, I can't even do the math on that. That's 1 episode a day of Countdown, 1 episode a day of Odyssey. So that's already a penny and a half per episode. We don't even do pennies in America anymore. And then you're getting all the access to movie memory machine content. I'm going to be doing a thing about Phantom of the Opera there, an article, maybe more, if you want to learn about the evolution of the character of Eric the Phantom. I'm putting together a article that traces the evolution from Gaston Leroux's novel all the way through Andrew Lloyd Webber's musical. There's just so much happening over at patreon.com/gruntworkpod that I'm not even mentioning. So you get all of that, and you can help us hit our goal of just breaking even with the show. Otherwise, you can always rate us, review us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify. You can subscribe, comment over at YouTube, and tell people about the show by sending them the YouTube feed, sending them the website, telling them that they might enjoy the show. And with that, I am going to end today's episode and go into the final episode of Chapter 34. Wow. 2 long chapters now about to conclude. So join me here tomorrow as we bid adieu to Chapter 34. That didn't rhyme. Oh well. Okay, goodbye. The Countdown of Monte Cristo is part of the Gruntwork Podcast Network. This show is produced, edited, and hosted by Landon Solano. The original text of The Count of Monte Cristo by Alexandre Dumas. Theme song by Magic Solo. If you want to support the show and others like it, visit patreon.com/gruntworkpod. Thank you for listening. See you tomorrow.